So, I finally found the time to watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and I have to say that leading up to the release of this film, I was very hyped to see this movie because it was confirmed to be directed by Sam Raimi himself, it would have gone the extra mile to explore the multiverse, and it would have been the first R-rated movie in the MCU, but that ship sailed weeks ago. I knew what I was expecting coming into this film. It was going to be a campy, wacky, fun, creative film that would have made a great time in the theaters. As long as it had those elements, I would surely enjoy myself. And I'm very happy to say that I was not wrong. This movie is so fun to watch, it's so wacky, it's insane, and it's so campy that it makes you just smile. This movie is truly a madness. Now, although I did enjoy this movie a lot, that doesn't mean I didn't have any problems with it. First off, there is a pacing issue with this movie. A lot of events and dialogue go by really fast, and it's like they want to move from point A to B to C to D and etc. It was like they wanted to get through each scene as fast as they could, and I don't think there were enough scenes or time for the pacing to be slower. There were some scenes that do take it slow, and they're actually pretty good and filled with great dialogue and acting. I really wish we got more of that. Second, I don't think Strange's arc was fully developed in this film. I felt like a lot of the focus was on Wanda and the bigger scope of the multiverse. This isn't to say that his character wasn't great or anything, I just think there was more to be desired with the writing of Doctor Strange. The last is a spoiler related one, so I'm gonna put up a timestamp for you to skip towards if you haven't seen the film yet. When I saw John Krasinski show up as Reed Richards, I got so hyped. This was a fan casting that's been talked about for years now, and there was a lot of speculation on whether he would be casted or not. So you can imagine what it felt like for many people, including myself, when we finally got to see him on the big screen. But I will say that it was a bit of a letdown. I understand that these were just short cameos, and the use of these cameos were just to show off how strong Wanda is, which I will get to later because those kills were brutal. But I felt that Krasinski's version of Reed felt a bit dumb. He didn't really sound intelligent, and he basically handed over their biggest advantage right over to Wanda on a silver platter. You could have just not told her Black Bolt's power. Is this really Earth's 838's most intelligent person?
Oh, why people? Why are you laughing for? What, Chris? Why are you laughing for? Why are you laughing for? I'm being serious. I'm being serious.
Now yeah, I just complained quite a bit, and it seems like I'm annoyed by this movie, but I really did enjoy myself. First off, the camera work and cinematography were A+. If you know Raimi's work, you know how much influence he has over the work of the camera. You can clearly tell that this is Raimi's style. He's able to be very creative with how he wants the camera to move, and it's very clear that Raimi, unlike many directors in the MCU, got a lot more creative freedom when it came to the filmmaking aspect. I gave praise to Moon Knight for being creative and exciting with their camera work and cinematography in their show, so I'm happy that my praise for the use of the camera work has continued over to the Multiverse of Madness. I will also say that the camera work is very reminiscent of Raimi's past work like Evil Dead and Spider-Man 2. If you've seen both movies, you know what I'm talking about. The way Raimi adds dynamic shots just adds to the experience of watching the movie. There's life in the camera movements, and it makes viewing his movies much more enjoyable. The tone is surprisingly consistent. Most MCU movies have this inconsistency when it comes to tone, meaning they don't know what tone they want for the story. But with Raimi, he knows exactly what he wants, and it's kept consistent throughout the entire movie. And while talking about the tone, this movie is more darker than past MCU movies. Some people have said that's a bad thing, but I like that the MCU is going down a darker direction. They're trying new things, which is great because, like I've said before, trying new things can produce great results, and I think it's done well here. Moving on to characters that I liked, Wanda was probably my favorite character in this entire movie, and spoiler warning incoming, look away now or skip to this time frame. But she just may be my favorite MCU villain. She is so committed to her goals that she will let nothing get in her way of reaching it. She will kill anyone who tries to stop her, and this is where the brutal kills come into play. The kills in this movie are the most brutal that I've seen in the MCU. Most movies in this universe hold back on the kills and it doesn't really add to the violence. But here it's just fucking insane. Wanda not only kills violently, but her kills are also very creative. She gets Black Bolt to blow his own brain up, she shreds Mr. Fantastic like strings of cheese and blows him up, she uses Captain Carter's shield to split her waist, and she snaps Professor Xavier's neck after corrupting his mind. Wanda does not hold back whatsoever, and it is awesome. I really did hope this could have been rated R so we can get some blood, violence, and even greater kills, but even with the PG-13 rating, it's still pretty brutal, so nice job. It also helps that Elizabeth Olsen is doing a great job in this movie, and she's probably doing the best acting in this entire movie because she has to be so versatile. She goes from a caring mother one minute to a horror movie villain in the next, so credit where it's due to Elizabeth Olsen. Also, some of the fight scenes are actually pretty cool, whether they be the grounded fight scene between Strange and Mordor or the primarily based CG fights, they actually look really cool and hold a lot of weight to them. I will also say that the writing between Strange and Christina was a lot better in this movie. I actually felt something for them that I didn't feel in the first movie, and I genuinely believed that they loved each other. I did hope Christina was mentioned a little bit more in the other movies to establish any feelings that Strange may have had for her, but it's fine, I guess. Also, the soundtrack is amazing. I don't know why I had to say that because it's Danny Elfman. Of course the music is amazing. I especially love whenever there's a horror scene and the music sounds intense. And whenever there is a jump scare, there's always a low piano note that plays, which was a nice touch. Raimi and Elfman are like Barcelona and Messi. They will always be together. Shit!
Why are you crying?
Speaking of horror scenes in a superhero movie, the horror elements used in this movie were great. They felt a lot like Evil Dead, and mixed with the camera work, lighting, music, and Sam Raimi's direction made the scenes perfect. It felt pretty intense watching these scenes, like you were watching an actual horror film. It just shows how talented Sam Raimi is as a director. Also, they were very creative with their scares as well. They used characters moving through reflections as a way of a jump scare, which was actually pretty cool. Every single horror element in this movie was top notch. I must say that overall, I was pretty satisfied with Multiverse of Madness. I wouldn't say that it's an amazing film or one of the MCU's best films, but it is a unique, fun, wacky, campy time that I've been asking for from the MCU. We've been getting a lot more experimental projects from Marvel as of late, and they've been sort of hit or miss, including Multiverse of Madness. But at least they're different than what we've gotten in the past, which I'm happy with because trying new things can produce great results. And it may not be great, but it's fun and creative at the very least. So plugging this into the grading system, I'm going to give Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness a solid B+.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.